Okay, here's part three of how Max won the 2024 season in the slowest car, which isn't true. So this is going to cover races 13 to 18 of this season. I'll have to do part four after this weekend's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So I'm going to take you through. I'm going to do this one slightly different. It's going to be a lot quicker because I had problems uploading this one due to copyright part two. So we'll just go through part three now, which is going to be races. Well, we'll go through them. We'll have a look. I've got these in the right order. 2 seconds. So we signed off with the British Grand Prix. So we're now on to Hungary, Belgium, the Netherlands, Italy, Azerbaijan, and Singapore. All right, that will leave us with the US Grand Prix, Qatar, Mexico, Brazil, US, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi being the last six. So, qualifying at each of these races, we'll start off then with. I thought I'd just move that one along there. I'm sure I did. So they were in the right order. Or maybe. Oh, that's why. That's why. Right. We'll start off with Hungary. Okay. So the Grand Prix that followed Silverstone was the Hungarian Grand Prix. Where is Max Verstappen? Max Verstappen qualifies third on the grid in Hungary. You look at the pole setting time of Lando Norris, 1 minute 15.227. Max Verstappen is third place in 1 minute 15.273. Okay, that's like 5/100ths of a second behind. 5/100ths of a second. That's nothing. All right, that's not a massive performance differential. Are you trying to say? No, we've got a front row of the McLarens, but we've got Max's Red Bull just 5/100ths of a second behind. Are we saying this is a performance drop off? Are we saying that this is now a massively slower Red Bull? Well, yeah, it's massively slower than it was. That's because of the massive performance advantage it had. Does it now mean that it's a much slower car, or is it a car that's now roughly equivalent with the rest? So it's not as though he's winning races in a car that's slower than anything else. It's just that just because he's not got a car that's massively faster, he can't do it. That's all it is. I mean, Hamilton here is in fifth. Look at his time. 1:15.85, right? That's 6/10 of a second. 6/10, not 5/100ths. Hamilton is 6/10 of a second slower than Verstappen's car. And yet, Verstappen still has to do that out of control dive bomb and cause that crash in Hungary, where I think that was a racing incident. No further action. We call that let them race. So that was Hungary. Next one, Belgium. I'm used to the Belgium race being the Belgian parade. Now, what happened to Max? Oh yeah, this is where the Red Bull car had no performance whatsoever. Could only qualify down in 11th. In fact, let's look at Perez's performance relative to Perez down here in 16th again. We've got Perez, Max Verstappen in third, Perez in 16th. You show me another team with that difference between the two drivers. Last season there wasn't the difference. I say last season, 2023, there wasn't that difference between the two drivers, was there? Where did Perez finish in the championship? Was Max Verstappen leading the championship last year and Perez down in what, 15th, 16th? Wasn't happening, was it? What's the situation this year? Why is that? So, Belgium. Oh, this is where the Red Bull can only qualify on 11th because it's so slow, isn't it? It's because Max isn't driving the fastest car. Oh, guess what? He is. He is because actually he got a 10th-place grid penalty because he got fitted with another super engine, was it? You know, like the super engine he got at the Brazilian Masterclass. Who knows? Because Max's time was 1 minute 53 seconds 0.159. The time that was awarded pole was 1 minute 53 seconds 0.754. Max has set a a time over half a second faster. Not far off 0.6 of a second faster than Charles Leclerc's pole time. Max is half a second faster and got relegated to 11th because he had a 10-place grid penalty. But otherwise, Max was the fastest car in Spa. Max was the fastest car in Spa. Couldn't make the overtakes. Couldn't make the overtakes in the same way that he could in 2022 and 2023. Why? It's because it wasn't quite so much as a rocket ship as the performance advantage that 2023 car had over the rest of the field. It was still by far the fastest car. 0.6 of a second. 0.6 of a second. That pole lap was. That's obscene. Look at the differences between all the other cars. One is 1 minute 53.75. Perez 0.76. That's a hundredth of a second. And then Hamilton 0.83. Hamilton's 800ths of a second behind Perez. Norris is what? A tenth and a half behind Hamilton. This is obscene. Oh, it's the McLarens that were the dominant car. Well, McLarens are 4 and 5, but actually would have been 5 and 6. Hamilton, well, you put him at that kind of challenge of a track, even in a car that's not so good. It shows you what a man that's capable of driving a car can actually do. Perez, how come Perez is allowed to come second this round? Oh, Max has got a 10-place grid penalty. We've got to make sure that at least one of our cars can compete this race. Strange dynamics this is. Strange dynamics. You're not going to be able to... we have to speculate at what the causes could be outside of the situation. That doesn't really make sense, does it? So, yes, Max was the fastest car at Belgium. Next race. Where are we now? Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix. So, Lando sets pole. And over a short lap like this, he is 0.3, about a third of a second, isn't he? About 0.3, yeah, just a bit more. About a third of a second ahead of Verstappen. And that, again, over a short track, is a lot. That's a big, significant performance advantage. Well, what's going on there? Max still second against this car, but he's still faster than the rest of the field. He can still lap that Red Bull, which is the third fastest car apparently, faster than the fastest car, which is the McLaren. Oh, this is just because the car's rubbish, but it's just because just how good Max is. Really? No, considering just how bad Perez is, how come last season he could still secure quite a lot of second place finishes? Rather strange, isn't it? Rather strange. So Max is second at Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix, is his home race. Now, that again, based on the narrative that we've seen so far this season, as to the Monaco Grand Prix with the Monegasque driver winning it in a Ferrari, the British Grand Prix with the British legend of a driver winning it, I kind of expected the Dutch Grand Prix to be won by the Dutch lad. So this was a bit of an anomaly. The Italian Grand Prix won by a Ferrari. You couldn't make it up, could you? You couldn't make it up. Next race. The Italian Grand Prix won by a Ferrari. But who were the fastest cars? Well, that was the McLarens. And then we've got third, the Mercedes of Russell. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, then Hamilton. So the top 6 positions, 2 McLarens, the fastest Mercedes, obviously because it's the fastest Mercedes driver, split by the 2 Ferraris and then Lewis Hamilton. And then it's Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen in his Red Bull, you look at that performance difference between Lando Norris and Verstappen there. Well, that is 0.7 of a second. That is huge. That is huge. Max Verstappen is half a second back from Hamilton in 6th. What is going on at Monza? What's going on at Monza? You see, what we've had reported to us, those of us that just can only watch the sport from the outside and rely on what we're being fed from the likes of Sky Sports, from the likes of Andrew Benson, is we get told what they want us to believe. And what we got told is, oh, the FIA have had to clarify their rules relating to asymmetric braking on the cars. So we get told about that. We get told about the notion of this bib, this lever inside the cockpit where you can raise and lower the height of the car, which you're not supposed to be allowed to do once you've gone through, like once qualifying began. You enter parc fermé conditions. You're not allowed to make adjustments on your car. So any lever that would enable you to do as such, like in a secretive manner, is clearly illegal. Now we get told that there is concern that this may be going on, but it's only an allegation. It's not confirmed. Because again, all these things just constantly stir up controversy in social media, stir up interaction between fans, stir up the warfare in the comment section. Where's the truth? Where's the reality? Where is the official documentation evidencing any of this to any of us? Where is the transparency from the governing body informing us accurately whether or not these infringements are actually taking place? He said it's just the rumour mill, isn't it? Oh, is this happening? Could this be happening? Oh, this is all kicking off here in Formula One. And it's all a show. It's all designed for that dynamic. But what do we have at our disposal? Well, we have the data. We have what we see with our own eyes. We have the data that records what is actually going on. Max Verstappen, 7th position. That's not congruent with what we've seen forever now. 7th. Why? Why is he half a second behind? Now, it might be that he suffered some issue in qualifying and, got his laps compromised. And I'll come to that in a minute. All right? But that doesn't seem normal. That doesn't seem normal. Is that a drop-off in the car? At what race of the season is that? What round is Monza? Well, it's got to be, what, round 16 maybe? Don't think it says it on here. Does it say it? No. Gary Connolly's there, the corrupt steward, having a lovely time. But that was taking place on the 1st of September. So we get all the way through to September to start seeing that Max Verstappen is half a second behind Hamilton there, 0.7 seconds behind Norris at that race. Next one, Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Baku. Charles Leclerc on pole, Piastri 2nd, Sainz 3rd. Where's Norris gone? 15th. Why is Lando Norris in 15th? Got knocked out in Q1. That's not a penalty. Yeah? Poor in Q1. First qualifying lap set in Q1 was poor, and then must have messed up on the second one, or must have been a yellow flag or something like that, preventing him from getting faster. So it was something like that, wasn't it? Perez up there in 4th position. How come such inconsistencies when we've seen Perez down in 16th so many times? Max Verstappen can only manage 6th. You compare Max's time with Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. It's not comparing it with a McLaren this time, is it? It's comparing it with a Ferrari. So behind the McLaren of Oscar Piastri, who has been typically the slower McLaren, Max is 0.3 behind, 0.34 seconds behind. And so a third of a second behind the fastest McLaren. Behind the Ferrari, Max is 0.65 of a second behind. So what's gone on there? Big drop-off. But that drop-off started at the Monza Grand Prix. How long is he allowed to drive with these illegal devices? At what point was it really identified that this car, he's not allowed to drive like this? Has he got an illegal device in his car? Or is it just that the show of Formula One realised that, oh, people will no longer be bothered to tune in if Max wins this championship after the 12th race of the season? We need to try and start engineering this to maintain interest in the show. Maybe if we make sure Max doesn't win for a few races, then Lando can catch up and somebody can challenge, and it makes it look like it's a tight title battle, doesn't it? People will remain interested, we'll still have our eyes on the show, we'll still get our lots of money. Yay. Singapore now. Singapore is traditionally the track that the Red Bull car is not suited to, as is proven by the 2023 season, where I think that was the only race where they failed to win. The Ferrari won in 2023 at Singapore. At every other venue, the Red Bull car blitzed everybody. This year, Max Verstappen was able to qualify on second position, just 0.2 of a second behind that McLaren car. Crazy shit. Just 0.2 of a second behind. The Red Bull's back. So it lost performance for 2 races, but now it's back in second. At a racetrack where, traditionally, they're not very good. You know, like 2023, where Carlos Sainz qualified on pole, and Max Verstappen was down here in 11th. Oh, because it doesn't suit Red Bull, that track. Or was it he just couldn't put that lap together in Q2, so he didn't even get a going in Q3? Is that all it was? I think that's all it was, really. I think that was not representative of Max's true pace in Singapore. But you get it wrong in a qualifying session and it can easily knock you down like that. That's how things work. But here, Max Q2 is position 2. Now what we see throughout any Formula One season is often a mixture of results. So this is the 2021 season. We've got pole position, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, 4 in a row there. Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen. What you see there over the course of that season, 22 races there in 2021, you've got how many different pole sitters? 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got 5 including Lando Norris. That's relatively normal. That is relatively normal. You've got your dominant couple, which is Verstappen and Hamilton, in terms of setting the pole positions. You look at the winning drivers: Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, Esteban Ocon won 1, and again we get these anomalies now and then. Daniel Ricciardo won 1. Has Perez won 1 in this year? I don't know if he did. Bottas again. So we've got how many race winners? Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Ricciardo, Perez, and Ocon. We've got 6 race winners. Again, that's fairly standard. You would expect that. When you look at the 2023 season, what are we seeing? You're seeing the pole sitters: Max Verstappen, Perez, Max Verstappen, Perez. These are all Red Bull. So you've got a Charles Leclerc in there. You've got Lewis Hamilton. You've got Carlos Sainz. You're going to get mixed drivers setting pole position times. Look at the race winner. Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Carlos Sainz was the only driver other than Max Verstappen to win a race, and obviously Perez that won the two of them. That's an unprecedented level of dominance. Now, don't go running away with the idea that that is all due to Max Verstappen's incredible skill. He can win, and that's nothing to do with the dominance of the car. Okay, you look at if that car is so dominant that it can win every race. Okay, you can't set every pole, can it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just double check this. So from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So out of the 22 races, Max Verstappen set 12 poles, which means he didn't set the pole for 10 of them. Let's have a look at wrong one, this one. Let's have a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 of the 23 Grand Prix he's not set pole, which means he's set pole for 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What does that mean? When the 15 are shared between other drivers, right, and Max has got 8 by himself, who's driving the dominant car? You've got George Russell setting 4 pole positions. You've got Lando Norris setting 6. Is that right? And then 2 from Charles Leclerc, 1 from Carlos Sainz. George Russell. What does this tell you about George Russell? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pole positions. He's not third in the championship, is he? Lando Norris. Is that 6? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6. 6 from Lando. And then Carlos and Charles. What we're seeing just does not make sense in terms of this narrative. As we go through, again, I say, you look at Max Verstappen, third here. 0.05 of a second behind. That's not a performance drop-off. These differences can easily be accounted for by just not getting it quite right on that qualifying lap. And it's not displaying that Red Bull is significantly disadvantaged. Even if the other teams have caught up, doesn't mean that now Red Bull's a much slower car. It's slower than it was, but not slower than the other cars. This one here. Well, if Perez can put that Red Bull on second, well, how fast is that Red Bull? Well, we know how fast it is. It's 0.6 of a second a lap faster because Max had got a 10-place grid drop there in Spa. We go to Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix. Again, to me, that's an anomaly. That Max is 0.3 of a second behind Lando there. When the pattern seems to be that you get to win your home Grand Prix. Monza, that was earmarked for Ferrari to keep Ferrari sweet. But the fact that the Red Bull car at this race is 0.7 seconds a lap behind them McLarens, rather strange. Azerbaijan, Max Verstappen, 6th place, half a second behind what am I talking about this one? I've jumped to the wrong conclusion on this one. He's 0.65 of a second behind the Ferrari there. Bizarre. And then, what's this one? Singapore. I think I've jumped one. Did I jump one? It was that one, I think. No, I didn't speak about it. This is where he was half a second behind Hamilton in Italy. Bizarre. And Azerbaijan, like I say, he is about 0.7 seconds behind the pole time. But Singapore, that half a second or more behind the pole time, it's no longer. So just 2 races this season where that Red Bull's been significantly off the pace. Rather strange. And Spa, which was the Spa, which was the 14th race of the season, and we're told the Red Bull car was the fastest for the first 5, but not the rest. Right, not the rest. He was battling in the slowest car from then onwards. Max was actually 0.6 of a second quicker than everything else, and even his teammate would have been 3rd. Even his teammate that usually qualifies 16th. So, just to read a couple of the comments out made on the part 2. This one, you have a good point. The Red Bull went from a dominant car who was winning by 30 seconds plus to finish 30 seconds behind the McLarens, and towards the end of the season, Red Bull somehow managed to make up the 37-second difference again. I don't remember any team doing this in the history of F1. Exactly. Firstly, if you are that far ahead, and I would say it's probably closer to 20 seconds per race, it might have been 30. But they were winning by that amount. That means the other team has got to find a way to catch that up. Not only did the other teams find a way to catch that up, they then exceeded the Red Bull and got that same level of advantage that Red Bull had everybody. They overtook Red Bull by that same amount. That is obscene. That's a difference in race time of like 40 seconds. If you're 20 seconds behind that Red Bull car and you end up beating it by 20 seconds, well, you've increased your performance by 40 seconds. That's unheard of. Okay, you do not see a team develop where they can get a race time that's faster by 40 seconds. That is just a ridiculous turnaround. All right, but that's what we've seen happen. And then we've Adrian Newey's gone now. The genius has gone, meaning the car has just fallen apart. No longer works because the genius is no longer there. Oh, but now we've got it to work again. It's fine. Bizarre. And then this other comment. This one here says, the Monaco one, the Red Bull was still fast enough to be top 3. And this was a self-confessed bad track. Max hit the wall on his second run in Q3. So the times in Q1 and Q2 were roughly a tenth behind fastest and literal thousandth slower in Q2. Had Max not hit the wall then he would have likely have qualified higher. And as said earlier, on a track that was allegedly one of the worst ones because of the curbs, a narrative that sprang up overnight after being lauded as Newey design genius in the past seasons. And this is exactly right, isn't it? Oh, that Red Bull car is so pliable. The way it can ride over the curbs, it's brilliant. And then now we're hitting tracks which have got raised curbing, and that Red Bull car doesn't work so well. We're getting fed one story after another, and none of it. It's all opposite. It's all bullshit. So, basically, Max underperformed in Monaco, and the car was better than was shown on a bad track for them. The same applied to Canada as well, in fact. Bad track for them, but still an equal pole time without a toe, suggesting it was actually the fastest. Well, not suggesting it was the fastest because the toe gave at least a tenth. Don't forget as well, Max went off in Silverstone quali and messed his own quali up, which was his second rather lacklustre wet performance, and the same for much of the race. It had no pace in the wet, and only when it was mixed stroke almost drive did the Red Bull come alive, especially in the final stint on the better tyres than those ahead of him. Max basically could have won all those races. He had a fast enough car to do so. Even Austria he could have and was doing until the pit stop and crashing Lando out. So, everyone wants to ignore that. The media don't want to talk about it that way, do they? Oh no. If you start actually putting context into it, if you're actually explaining, this is the reason why Max didn't win that race. Oh, they don't like that, do they? No, they just want to tell us, oh, it's because, he's that good. He can win when the car's not even the fastest. No, it's still the fastest car. There's reasons why he didn't win. But exactly what they are. How was he able to win pretty much everything in 2023? Is it because the car was so significantly faster than everything else? And it's only when it's not so significantly faster than everything else that he can't. Who knows? But it's still fast enough. And it still appears to be the car to beat on that grid. And it wouldn't surprise me if in 2025 it's still the car to beat. Because we've seen an amazing resurgence of the Red Bull car. Now that the FIA have gone, oh, it's all right. We've managed to keep people watching to the end of the season. And we've even managed to create it so that the Constructors' title goes down to the last race of the season in Abu Dhabi. Oh, it's going to be brilliant between McLaren and Ferrari. Because we've imposed a 30-second penalty on Lando at the last race. You couldn't make it up, could you? Anyway, that'll do on this one. Thank you all for your time.